The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of the Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network.
Hello everyone, I'm Kim Droege and welcome to another edition of Connecting with Kim here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. We're so happy you joined us today. We have another great show coming up and I know you're going to love it. But before we get started and before I introduce my guest, I'd like you to like and follow our Instagram, Facebook, and X accounts where you will find all the information about the show, about my on-air wardrobe from the Spring of Tampa Bay, and our guests. And all about them and their organizations and their passions and whatever they are here with me to talk about today that all of Tampa Bay should know about. And you can also catch the audio of our show on Sun Radio 96.3 FM and on your favorite streaming platform Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. So don't forget to do all of that. And a huge shout out to my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay, who provides safe spaces and empowering services for survivors of domestic violence and their children. And they've been doing a great job for more than 40 years. So I want you to shop at the boutique and the thrift store, which is now located at 4415 West Osborne in Tampa, because all the net proceeds support their mission. And they have great stuff, as you can tell from all the outfits I wear for every show. So I am pleased as punch to introduce my guest today because she is such a phenomenal woman and it's a phenomenal organization. And if you don't know about it, you need to know about it. So my guest today in the chair is Marlene Spalten, who is the president and CEO of Community Foundation Tampa Bay. Welcome, Marlene, to Connecting with Kim.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Kim.
Oh, I'm so thrilled. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Now, I'm going to apologize to everybody in advance because, as you know, you and I were talking about before we went on air, we've had the worst allergy season ever in Florida where we're filming. So I am, using cough drops and trying to clear my throat all the time and everything else. So we're good. So, Marlene, I always like to start the show the same way. I love all of my guests to share as much of their life journey as they feel comfortable with. And it's always good for our audience to know, where you came from and your education and all those kind of things. So, please.
Thank you. Well, I was born in Iowa, Centerville, Iowa. Centerville was not the center of anything, but it was called Centerville, and I loved it growing up there. There were 6 of us kids. My parents are actually both, I have a strong immigrant background. My father's parents were from Croatia, and my mother was Italian. My father was in the infantry in World War II, fought up the foot of Italy, and met her there. And so she came over to the United States as a war bride and loved America and everything that this country stands for. So from there, I went to school in Iowa at Cornell College, met my husband there. We got married because we had the same birthday, Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
You're the second person I know that has Valentine's Day. One of my best friends has Valentine's Day.
It's a great day to have a birthday, except
is.
You have to go to dinner the night before to celebrate because everyone else is out for dinner. So after college, we went to live near where his family was in Illinois, in St. Charles, Illinois, and then moved to Connecticut where our kids were raised. We have 5 kids, and they think of themselves as New Englanders. It was a great experience to live in New England. The love for history and the way that, the whole idea of who we are as a country is treasured in that area, and education, the real emphasis on education.
Where in Connecticut did you live?
Litchfield.
Okay, so I used to live in Connecticut and Massachusetts, so I know what you mean about New Englanders.
Yeah, I really respect, that approach to who we are. After the kids had gone to college, except for number 5, which is our youngest, Joshua, was ready to go to high school, and we were ready for a move to a more warm climate. and I was offered a position at the Bowles School in Jacksonville, Florida. Josh was entering high school. It seemed like the perfect school for him. So he went to school and I worked and kept my fingers crossed every day that I would not hear bad news from the dean about his behavior, but he was a good student and did well there. We then, after working at Bowles for about 8 years, I was asked to lead the foundation at Baptist Health Foundation. Mm-hmm. Baptist Health is a system of 5 hospitals, including a children's hospital. And healthcare is fascinating to get into the inside of what goes on. It's like a small city because the health system has to employ people from neurosurgeons to people that clean rooms and bring meals to people.
Right.
It really did underscore for me the importance of good health care being available for everyone. Yeah. So on top of education, health care became a real emphasis for me. A friend of mine in Jacksonville, Nina Waters, who headed the Community Foundation in Jacksonville, she and I were talking, and I said, do you think I would like doing what you do? And she said, yes, and there's a search open right now in the Tampa Bay area. You'd be great for it, so let me put your name in the search. And that's how I ended up here. When I first came to Tampa, I felt so comfortable immediately. Mm. When I started asking people where they were from, and many of them were from the Midwest, that all made sense to me. They're Midwesterners,
right.
People I grew up with. And the area is so diverse and so beautiful. We live out at the beach and enjoy the beach. When you've grown up in Iowa, you have to be, in your Florida, you have to be on the coast, right? So it's been a wonderful experience for me to be over here. And the work is a kind of culmination of primarily fundraising, which I had done before, but also the ability to offer to those who are making gifts a real reward, which is being part of a community of giving. And it's just a great model for philanthropy that I've embraced, totally enjoyed, and just feel privileged to being a part of.
Well, I'm sure that the Community Foundation Tampa Bay is glad you're here too, because you've been their CEO and president for how long now?
Going on 13 years.
Okay, that's fun. Well, and in full disclosure, I have to say to everybody, I have the honor and the privilege of serving on the South Shore Advisory Council for the Community Foundation Tampa Bay. I'm a brand new member, so I'm learning a lot, but
and that was a catch. We were so thrilled to have you come aboard. We have 4 of those councils that serve the different regions. We feel it's important because we serve 5 different counties to have people who actually live in those communities to help guide us in our grant making and also help introduce us to the people that might benefit from working with us. And when we heard about you, I took you to lunch.
You
I
did.
really tried to court you as best I could to make you sure that you would want to come join us, and you've been a great addition to our South Shore Council.
I appreciate that very much. I really do. I'm getting verklempt. So let's back up a little, because for those people out there that might not understand, what is Community Foundation Tampa Bay? So maybe let's start at the basics of what the organization is all about, and then we'll drop down into more specifics of what you do.
Okay. Well, the basics is that it's our job to build philanthropy in a community. Philanthropy is an investment. People that, especially those who are making large gifts, they think of that gift as an investment in a nonprofit, an investment in a mission or a cause that they know is important, and an organization that they know can carry out that promise. So they want to be careful about how they do that. And so we are philanthropy investment consultants. Our donors create funds with us that stay with us usually for their lifetime, and for many of them it's their estate plan. The portion of their estate that they want to dedicate to charity is put into their fund at the Community Foundation, and long after they've passed, we're still doing what they would have done had they stayed with us, because they tell us what those intentions are and what's important to them and what they'd like to have us support. So that's the basic premise of it. Many times our fund holders will say, well, I want to give to this and this, but here's some money that I want you to just give to the best purpose you can find. understanding that over time things change.
Absolutely.
And in 30 years, the needs may be very different in our community than they are today. So the Community Foundation employs a large, we call it community impact team or grants team that become experts in what the community needs and how philanthropy can help. So they decide how those dollars can go out. We use the expertise and the on-the-ground knowledge of our councils to help steer those donations. And we open a competitive grants process to invite any nonprofit with a good project or a good purpose to apply for those funds. So we're open to all nonprofits throughout our 5 county areas.
Okay, so the 5 county areas are, for those who might not know, Hillsborough,
Pinellas, Pasco, Hernando, and Citrus counties.
Yeah, okay.
All very different places.
All very different
Very
places.
different people living in all of those places, so it's fascinating.
So let me ask this. How many fund holders do you have at the Community Foundation Tampa Bay?
We have about 1,300.
Okay.
Some have been with us forever. Some, as I said, have passed and their funds are still with us. But coming from all those areas.
And how large is the fund base that you manage for all these 1,300 fund holders?
Well, we're going to be making a big announcement soon, but I'll give you a sneak. It's near $1 billion. Yeah.
We should applaud that. That is
Thank
something
you.
to be so proud of. So that kind of leads me to my next question. I'm thinking about people out there because we want them to think about this. We want
Yes.
them to entertain this idea. How much money do you have to start a fund at Community Foundation Tampa Bay?
A donor advised fund, a DAF, is what it's called. The minimum for that is $10,000.
Okay.
If you are thinking of a larger amount of money you want to put aside, and you would like the idea of having your own foundation within a foundation, that's $100,000. And we have, I think, over 100 of those now, of people that, the best story is one of our former chairs, Patricia Douglas. She was one of our first to form a family foundation, she and her husband Brad. And Patricia said, we want our children to be serious about this, about philanthropy, as advisors to the fund. And when it was a DAF, that was not as exciting for them. But when we say this is the Douglas Family Foundation, the kids' ears perk up and they get serious about it.
Right.
And it worked for her. So for some people, that's a really important thing to know. And we have a number of those. We also put some special services around our foundations, like family meetings that we can help with and other kinds of things. So, but every single dollar that's come into the Foundation for Charitable Giving is celebrated. We've had little kids open little funds where we make an exception, for the minimum. And one little girl, I remember some years ago, brought in this big thing of monies that she had earned with a little stand that she had in front of her house and the lemonade stand story, and she wanted to give it to charity, but she wanted our help in doing that well, so she brought the money to us and we helped her do that.
Well, I love that because philanthropy and charitable giving and concern for your fellow man and your community is something that you have to instill in your children very early.
Yes.
And you have to instill in them that idea that if you are successful, if you enjoy something, if you have a talent, you have to share that with the world.
And you will be happier.
And you will be happier.
There are actually studies that have been done on philanthropists to learn that they actually tend to be happier, more contented people than people that don't engage in giving in any way. And you can see that, I love it when on news programs they highlight somebody that's been very generous with their time or their talent or their money. And they're happy people. It feels good to help others, to get out of yourself and to really concentrate on other people and enjoy the reward of making someone else better because of your investment in them.
If you're just joining me now on Connecting with Kim, my guest in the chair is Marlene Spalten, who is the president and CEO of Community Foundation Tampa Bay. And we are talking about how philanthropy and charitable giving and sharing your time and your treasure and your talent are important to your community and also to you as an individual for your well-being. Okay, so we have 1,300. We're almost $1 billion. Oh, so exciting. And share with us the kinds of charitable giving that you get involved in. I mean, they might want to have a feel for the breadth and depth of what that charity looks like.
Endless. There are certain areas of focus that are more popular among our fund holders. Education is one.
Okay.
So when we have dollars that we are responsible for directing, we do a lot of it, investing in education. We started with an initiative a few years ago, the LEAP College Access Network, and won a national award actually for the effectiveness of that initiative. Those are cross-sector networks that we create to address a complex community issue. And we've learned that's the best way to actually make something happen. When you get business in the room, and you get philanthropists in the room, and you get educators in the room, and you work toward a common goal, things can happen. And government, you have to have elected representatives as well. So when you bring all those people together, all the dimensions of the problem are exposed, and a solution can be brought from that. LEAP is one of those initiatives. We've had several others that we've worked on as well, and one of the more recent ones is we've gone to the other end of the education spectrum, Thrive by 5. So that's an initiative in Pinellas and Hillsborough counties to make sure that all young children going to kindergarten are prepared for that. Our districts are doing yeoman's work in preparing kids through elementary school for high school and beyond to career. They need students coming into their doors in kindergarten who are prepared for the work that they're going to be expected to make. And unfortunately, many children are not if they haven't had some preschool exposure to the kinds of things they'll be expected to learn. And then we also know children under the age of 5, I mean, your brain develops. I forget the percentage of how much of that develops as a young child. So that's the time to stimulate their intellect and their thinking and their caring and the way they treat others and the way they then think about themselves. All of that's really important formation in those early years.
Well, it really is, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else.
That's right. I totally agree with that.
I mean, you just can't. I mean, it starts in here and it goes out there.
And you see your value
Yeah.
in others' eyes looking back to you, or the feedback you get. That was really great. The way you did that really helped me do something. That comes back to you and builds confidence in your ability to contribute something, to be a part of something. And many families do that very well, just the family. But when it's someone other than the family, when it's preschool teacher or the parents of other children, it just carries that endorsement that's really important. So we're doing a lot of work in that area. We've got the cooperation of the districts, of organizations like the Children's Board here in Hillsborough County. We do a part of that program is family-friendly businesses, and we give an award to those businesses who satisfy the qualities of a family-friendly business. And those employers are super smart about what they're doing. That's going to help their bottom line. When their employees are happy, they know their children are in a place where they're learning, and the day goes so much better for those parents who are also your employees as a company. So the more you can accommodate families, the better your business will do as well. So there's a way to apply to be a part of that. It's like how they rate buildings with platinum or gold, or same thing. You can kind of work your way up the ladder by using family-friendly, by actually incorporating family-friendly business objectives into your and policies into your business plan.
Wonderful. So we have education as one of the areas, businesses. What other kind of areas do we have funding for that comes from Community Foundation Tampa Bay? Grants or whatever funding it is.
Environmental funding used to be at the bottom of the pile. It's not anymore. It's way up there at the top. People care about it. Our young philanthropists particularly are well aware of, we're going to have to be here for a number of years. We've got to make sure that the beach is clean, the water's clean, and that it's a safe place for humans to inhabit. So we do a lot of that environmental funding. We after the hurricanes, which devastated a lot of family homes and businesses. We actually brought in and gave out $5 million in help. The next phase of our work in that area is going to be, how do we make ourselves more sustainable? You know, how do we prevent ourselves from being hurt as much by those kinds of natural disasters? And so we're going to be turning our attention to that.
That's really the $64,000 question, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, how do we, because we know the storms are going to get larger and more intense.
Right.
We've all seen the statistics for Milton and Helene, wind speeds being 20% greater than previous same category hurricanes.
Right.
So I mean, that really, you guys did a phenomenal job, because I was there to witness that.
Yeah.
Now I know another area that you because this is near and dear to a lot of people, is pets. You also have funding
Absolutely.
for CARE and other facilities like CARE. In case you don't know, CARE is a no-kill facility, pet shelter in South Hillsborough County. And I used to work there, so I used to volunteer there.
I would only add one word to your description, and that's excellent.
Excellent.
It's an excellent organization.
It is.
We do vet anyone we give money to make sure they're well run, that everything is, you know, done the way it should be done, with, and they maintain their mission. They stay within that mission. So yes, you know, after having worked in education and healthcare, they seem so important. When I came here, was my first introduction to really philanthropy about pets. And at first I thought, really, does that come to the same level? Oh, yes, it does.
Huge.
For some people, that is their connection, you know, especially down in the South Shore area, where, you know, people are living alone, they've lost a spouse or a partner, and that pet is part of their family, and that keeps them going, it keeps them relevant, and going to the dog park, you meet other people of like mind. Pets are super important, and we do have donors who care a great deal about that, fortunately, and contribute toward those causes.
I preach this so many times on my show, that as part of your estate plan, as part of your will, as part of whatever arrangements you're making, please make arrangements for your pet.
Yeah.
Don't just assume that somebody's going to take care of it for you if such something unfortunate happened, because I've seen, working at CARE, I've seen a lot of different stories of that. So yeah, I love that we're involved with CARE.
And animals are being used more and more. I saw something just yesterday about these miniature horses that an actress, I should remember her name, but I don't, takes to nursing homes where there are older people. And the joy in those people's eyes to be able to hug those little horses and feel that return. They're, you know, animals are, and, you know, I've learned, talking to the woman next to me while I was waiting to get a license thing for my car, and we were both waiting, that she talked about dogs being trained to be able to know that someone has cancer.
Yeah.
Diagnosis. So there are certain diseases that animals, as I understand it, can actually help diagnose, which is amazing.
That's
so
amazing.
I think we've only touched the surface
Probably.
of what animals can bring to our lives.
So we only have a couple minutes left. So I know, goes fast. Everyone says the same thing. Everyone says the same thing. I want to offer you an opportunity, because we haven't even touched upon, you know, what's in the future for Community Foundation Tampa Bay, now that you are approaching $1 billion, and you should be very proud of that. But I want to give you an opportunity to look into your camera and communicate directly with our watching and listening audience, anything in particular about that we haven't covered so far about Community Foundation Tampa Bay. So
Thank you, Kim. What I would say is, it's one thing to be a citizen in a community, it's quite another to be an investor. And you can invest in a community through philanthropy. And that can be a daunting thought to people that haven't been active philanthropically in the past. That's why we exist at the Community Foundation. Even if you don't create a fund with us, but would just like some advice on how you can best invest your precious dollars that you want to dedicate toward philanthropy, we can help you with that. We want to help you with that. There are numerous needs throughout our community, and there are also opportunities in our community that with only just some donated dollars, we could make it happen. Someone could make it happen. We want you to be a part of that, to feel the joy and reward of being an investor in our community and invite you to use us in any way that would be helpful in order for you to do that. We know it will bring you joy, bring us joy, and certainly help our community.
I love that so much. And one thing that I've started focusing on, maybe because of my age, required minimum distribution, which happens for everyone that
Yes.
has
Yes.
a 401k plan. You are required at a certain age to take distribution,
Whether you need it or
whether
not.
you need it or not.
And if you don't need it, a very clever way to give is to gift that. We can accept your IRA. Now you need to do it before you take it
Right.
yourself.
You need to set it
And
up.
then you don't pay taxes
Right.
on that. And the whole thing comes in and can feed your fund or charity in any way that you'd like to give. So it's the number one first place you should draw cash out to be able to give.
Absolutely, because you're required to take it. There's a minimum that you're required to take, and you have to take it every year after a
Yeah.
certain age. So it's not like you can get out of it, right? I mean, you have
Yeah.
to take it. And like you said, if you don't need it to live, or even if you only need some part of it
Right.
and not the whole, it's still a great way to get that whole cycle happening, right?
Yes, yeah, it really is great, and you can experience what we can do, and that can lead. The other thing that's important is make sure that your assets are designated in the way you want. We have a number of people that'll say, my kids have as much money as I think it's wise to give them.
Right.
And I'd like to dedicate the rest of what I have to charity. So they work with their attorneys and their advisors to create their will and all of that. They point the charitable portion to a fund at the community foundation. That's all they have to do.
That's all they have to do.
They can tell us what they want to do with us, what they want us to do with it, but they can change that anytime, and we don't charge anything if they make changes in their documentation.
And that's a big thing.
Yeah, so it's easier on lawyers too. We've been told by attorneys, yeah, let them do that with you. I don't need to keep changing their will.
Right.
So that way you can rest assured that you're going to be able to have your monies used in the way you want. So there are any number of things. You need to have me come again.
I know, you have to come back because we have not explored all there is to explore about Community Foundation, and we are totally out of time. So Vern, I'm going to apologize for going over in advance. Marlene, thank you so much for being my guest today on Connecting with Kim. It was really such an honor for me.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here.
If you're just joining me today, my guest on Connecting with Kim this episode was Marlene Spalten, who's the president and CEO of Community Foundation Tampa Bay. So if you're just joining now, you have to go back and watch the whole episode because you're going to learn a lot. And I want to give a huge shout out to my team at Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network, to my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay. And I invite you to come back again next week for another edition of Connecting with Kim, because the whole goal of what I do is to help you live your best life in our corner of paradise. So long.